Thank you for joining us today on another timeout on the program World of Art on Ogtv. Every week we bring you experienced artists, and together we take a close look at topics that promote visual art in our society. A wise man once said, "Where words fail you, art speaks louder." My name is Miriam Usman. I will be introducing the guest on the program after this break. Please stay with us. Interesting clips. Yes, it's the World of Art on Ogtv. Let me quickly remind you that this program is brought to you by Prince Yamisi Shillon, legal practitioner, Africa's largest private arts collector, grand donor and chairman of Council Yamisi Shillon Museum of Art. It's time to meet our guest. Today we are being joined by another interesting guest. She goes by the name Olubukola Bolarinde. She is a professional artist with specialization in painting. She has degrees in architecture and environmental design and engineering with years of experience in the fields of architecture, project management, filmmaking. She is also she qualified as an accountant with BSc Honours from the Welsh School of Architecture, University of Wales. Now, there's so much you need to know about our guest on the program, and you can only get more by sticking with us. Yes, I love to call our guest of the program today. If she was a man, I would say jack of all trades, but she's not a man, so I'm just going to say Bukola of all trades. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mariam. Thank
yes,
you for having me.
You have an incredible profile. There's so much to talk about you, to talk about your works, how you do it. I just believe that a lot of people are waiting to, get the spirit from you. So first of all, I'm going to ask you, how did it start for you for art? Because I know you are a master of all. You're into architecture, you're into filmmaking, you're into project management, and then you're a painter. And you're not just a painter, you have incredible works. I mean,
thank you.
It's everything. So let's start. How did it start for you?
Thank you so
Painting,
much.
art.
I'm humbled by that introduction. Thank you. It's an honor to be here, and I'm happy to share with you my journey in art. So to take you back, art has always been a part of me. We artists say everybody is an artist. Everyone has an innate gift in them. However, for me, art has been something that I've always been passionate about doing. And then I just found that I loved drawing. The medium I was most comfortable with was like pencil drawing, pen drawings, but I sort of evolved that into painting and trying out new media like acrylic and oil on canvas. That, I think, informed my education in architecture.
Okay.
I'm a trained architect. I've worked as an architect all of my life, although it's seen me veer into project management in so many different industries. So I have worked in the oil and gas industry, in the banking industry, and most recently in the telecommunications industry, but still in the real estate space as an architect and as a designer. So it's no wonder that I did study architecture, because I believe personally that architecture is art. It is a form of art. It's a form of expression. All architects have art innately in them, and it informs how we design and create buildings. So it's a form of creativity in a way. So it was very easy for me to sort of marry the two parts of me. So art has always been something I was passionate about, and it's a talent that I really, really wanted to hone my skills in and, show the world.
I've always wanted to ask, how is it like to juggle around all of this profession? Well, just before we proceed, how long have you been, practicing art now? How long have you been into it fully, been hosting exhibitions and all?
So my journey in art started professionally 10 years ago now. So since 2012, but then more commercially. So I started, very sort of small scale, only collectors who knew that I painted or I was an artist, collected my pieces, my works. However, this year, I staged an exhibition to make my art more out there, to create an awareness and go more commercial with it. So it's been 10 years.
One of the interesting things about having you on the program today is, there's just been a little, I'm not going to say it's a war, or a little disparity between architecture and art. And we have someone on the program that is telling us that, art and architecture, they are together. So I'm going to ask you, do you see yourself expressing the artistic part of you in other professions like the architecture, the filmmaking, project management? Do you see yourself blossoming in these areas because you already are an artist?
That's a very interesting question, and I must say I've never been asked this question. But to answer it, my answer is yes, definitely. I see the art in me being exhibited in the way I design, the way I design spaces, the way these spaces evolve into forms that create buildings, the way I project manage, my methodology to it is artistic. My inclination is artistic. The way I dress, is artistic. So you'd find that artists will always somewhat, that innate part of you will always show up in everything that you do. So yes, throughout my career, I've found that, my eye for designing, my attention to detail, my use of color, my understanding of palettes still goes right back to art, which is a foundation.
What brings us to talking about your area of specialization in art, or why did you choose painting? I mean, you could just go to sculptors, you could become a metal sculptor, there's just different type of artists you could become. Why did you pick painting?
I respect all artists and in all their different modes of expression. I think every single artist has a unique gift, in what they do, being able to create something out of nothing. You have a blank canvas, you're able to paint. Some people it's charcoal, some people it's pencil, and then others, like you said, it's sculptures. The reason I sort of veered towards that, like I said earlier, I'm most comfortable actually with pencil. My pencil drawings are like hyper-realistic, but I found painting very daunting, actually. So that's how it started. It started with me wanting to overcome a challenge, something I thought I couldn't do. Another thing I was very, very scared of was figure drawing. So that is painting human forms, human faces. But I wanted to push myself. I needed to just do it, get it done, and overcome the fear. So that's how I sort of veered into painting. And I found that I was very comfortable with the medium and just kind of stuck there.
I mean, look at the screen now. We have some of your work showing and displaying all of that. So let's talk about your expression of your artistic work. It is said that every artist understands his or her own mode of expression better than everyone else. So how would you describe your expression of your work?
I think my expression, simply put, I mean, the easiest way to describe it, I think the identity first will be African, and that's who I am. You'd find that a lot of my artworks gives reference to where we are as Africans, the place, our culture, and our people. So you'd find that all of my artworks tell a story. It's kind of like a story of my personal experiences and also stories that I've heard growing up and stories that I've come in contact with even recently. And these are the things that I like to portray and also promote African culture.
Talking about story, your profile said, if I have not told you a story, you have not had a good one. So we have the opportunity of having you on the program today. Tell us about that part of you that loves to tell a story.
My father once said that if I wasn't an architect, an artist or something, I should have maybe, explored drama, stand-up comedy, because I feel I'm very dramatic. And, I like telling stories. I not only like telling stories, like writing stories, I love to draw you into the story. I love to demonstrate the story. I love to act it out. And that's why hearing a story from somebody like me who is very dramatic is a whole different experience from someone who just tells you a flat story. So that's why I made that statement.
Right. You know, somehow your work is just telling a lot of stories. There's this particular one I'm, you know, attracted to one of your work. There's two students going to school, and you could tell that, no, I would want you to even tell us about that piece of work. Two young boys on their way to school. So tell us, what's the idea behind that? What's the story behind that work?
Thank you, Mariam. You know, I said to you earlier that I really do like African stories, and for me, that image depicts a true African story. It's not an image that you would see very easily, like on the streets of, you know, the cities in Europe or in North America. But in Africa here, any African looking at that artwork would be able to relate with it. It's very relatable. We've all experienced it growing up here in Africa, or we've seen it on the roads, you know, children going to school. And that story is a story very peculiar to a lot of us. It's a typical younger brother, first day of school, oversized uniform, and then you have the older brother, younger brother, maybe first day of school, 3-4-year-old, and you have an older brother who's about 8 years old, holding on to him and embracing him and saying, Mo wakwelue. Mo wakwelue in my language means I'm with you. So do not fear, I'm with you. We'll get through this.
That's very interesting. Now, I would want us to talk about there are a lot of people watching, and if they are given the opportunity to ask questions, let me quickly add that you can communicate via our social media handles to ask questions, engage our guests on the program. And yes, you can call in on the program, but just before you call in, let me suggest that you tone down the volume of your TV set so that we can completely hear you. So we'll go on this break, and after which the program continues. Stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned. It's World of Art on Ogtv. Now you can engage our guests by calling on the program or send us messages via our social media handles. Let me quickly remind you that this program is brought to you by Prince Yemisi Shilon, legal practitioner, Africa's largest private art collector, Grand Donor and Chairman of Council, Yemisi Shilon Museum of Art. Yes, we still have Olubukola Bolarinde with us, and she's been telling us a whole lot. So you're telling us about that portrait. I don't know, does it have a name? Because I cannot give it a name already. Mowakwelue.
Mowakwelue.
Yes.
Mowakwelue.
Yes.
That's
the name of the work.
That's the name of the art piece. In Yoruba, that means I am with you. I am with you.
Interesting. Now, I would want us to talk about another of your artwork, but okay, that's Mowakwelue displaying on the screen. It's quite an image. Literally reminds me of those days in school as well. Now, I believe if people want to ask you a question right now watching is, how do you do these things? How are you able to juggle around not just careers, you juggle around professional careers, and then you're adding another professional career. How do you do it? How have you been able to? You've been practicing art for over 10 years. You've hosted exhibitions. You've means you're doing well. You're not just an artist as a figure name. Yeah. So let's talk about how you've been able to do all of this and still, succeeding in it.
I think if you asked me, if the question was what has been the greatest challenge in my practice of art, that would be it, actually. The fact that I had, so many other responsibilities, especially with my career. Professionally, I worked as an architect. I told you, project management, design. I have responsibility in the companies that I work for, in the companies where I sit on the boards. So juggling that with my art has been, in the last 10 years, the most difficult kind of balance to find.
Why did you at any point feel like, let me drop this thing on face?
Never.
Never.
And I'll tell you why. The simple answer for that is the passion for art. The fact that I was and stayed passionate about my craft, passionate about my God-given talent, passionate about the desire to exhibit this gift. That is what has driven, my staying power in art.
This is very, very interesting. Now let's talk about, you've hosted solo exhibitions before, you've been able to put out your work. How is the experience? How is it like? Before then, let us talk about, being a woman in this field. For this program, I've only interviewed just one woman so far. I don't know if the career is woman friendly or a lot of people just don't want to, disturb themselves with that part. So talk to us about womanhood and being an artist.
I personally don't see a demographic when you talk about art. I think art is something that cuts across. You have children that are artists. You have 6-year-old, art prodigies. You have people that are talented and will exhibit their talent no matter what their age is, their sex, or their social status. Let's put it that way. So for me, I don't see a male-female domination when it comes to art. I believe it's really balanced. I believe it's really equal, if you want to use that word. There are a lot of thriving female artists, a lot of successful male artists. So I don't think that the art space portrays any sense of discrimination. At least for me, I haven't personally experienced that.
Interesting, very interesting. I mean, there's a video of your work where you were working, and it looks like you had the work going on in your sitting room. Yes, so that's still like the part that comes with being a woman and an artist, because you would want to turn everywhere you see to your studio, just to do your work. Yes. All right, so we have this question from Facebook. How do you combine architecture with art? Okay, I think we've said that before. I know a lot of people would want to ask that question. So do you have a mentor?
In art, we're speaking about art now. So in art, there are a lot of African artists whose work I have personally collected for over 20 years. I started collecting art, before I started to practice it professionally. And I've always been drawn to contemporary African art. I've always been drawn to pieces that depict African culture. So there's so many Nigerian artists.
Okay,
I would like to name.
Let's take this call. Okay. Thank you for joining us, Ade.
Yes, my greetings to the lady in the studio. Congratulations to her as she combined all this wonderful work together as an architect. But my question is this. You merely asked the question on my behalf. My question is this. As a woman, as a mother, how does she cope and combine all these things without disturbing the dinner time, the lunch time, all these sort of things? We want to hear from her, please. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Ade. Thank you for your question. Almost similar with what we were discussing before.
Very similar. Yes. And I think it's important that, we discuss these, issues. Yes, we have huge responsibilities as women. I'm not going to lie. Especially when you're a mother, you have a responsibility to take care of your children. Everybody that I know that knows me in my everyday life asks me this question every single day. How are you juggling the two? But I spoke to that earlier. You see, there's a passion that drives you to do what you do. And with that, you're able to just ease through the struggle bit of it, and it makes it more enjoyable. When you're passionate about what you do and you enjoy what you're doing, somehow it all just kind of works out and balances out.
Yeah, so you were telling us about how it was for you for exhibitions and all of that. So time is not by our side. We really have to wrap up now. So take us through how it was hosting an exhibition of your own.
It was a very, very huge task. However, I must say that the outcome of the exhibition itself made it all worth my while. I was overwhelmed by the outpouring of support, the outpouring of love, and every single person. It's funny, I still had this conversation with a very good friend of mine yesterday. I said, do you know, when I look back on that exhibition today, I realized that every single person that I invited showed up.
Wow.
Yes, not only showed up, brought somebody with them. So, and being there alone to support you is enough for you as an artist. Then you can transcend onto, you know, obviously the commercial side of things, but you know, the support and people showing that they care about what you do and support you and want you to succeed. It's a very, very good support system.
Okay, I also need to add that I can see you in person, and whatever I say is 100% correct and legit. She's way more beautiful than she is in person, so in camera. So I'm going to ask you, you know, there's this idea we have about artists, you know, some of, no disrespect to the career or the profession, but some people, you see them like, the whole work is written all over their faces, you know. For you, I mean, there's just this fashion look, there's just everything. So how do you do that you don't look like the work you do? Or is it just because painting doesn't come with so much drama? Because I know it does. I mean, painting with the whole...
I wouldn't say so. I know a lot of painters that would beg to differ. It comes with drama. But you said earlier that you saw some clips and it looked like I was painting right in my living room. It's about also making sure that you're comfortable. You know, your studio, your space, whatever fuels your art, whatever fuels your creativity, whatever makes the process enjoyable. For some people, it's music. For some people, it's their children being around and getting into it with them. You know, for some people, it's being able to engage with friends, you know. But work-life balance, I tell people closest to me, I'm a big advocate for it. I believe that in everything we do, we must balance work and life.
All right, balance work and life. We have a caller from Rotimi. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. I want to ask a question. I really like your program. Your program is very good.
Thank you so much. Could you speak louder?
Yeah. I like your colleagues there, in person of your guest. Ma, I really like your program. But how is it for you to cope with your profession? I mean the architect and the artwork that you are doing. When you must have a challenge with your husband. There must be a challenge with your husband. Maybe in case of you don't prepare the dinner in time or your breakfast. What are the challenges? I want to know this.
All right. Thank you so much, Rotimi, for joining us on the program. I guess this is really a topic of discussion or conversation. She wants to know how you, I don't know, maybe she wants practical examples because people are watching and they want to like probably relate it with their life. How are you able to do that, to relate? She's also giving the instance like Ade did, the lunch time, the dinner time, the husband time, the children time. How are you able to juggle all of that for years now, and how have you been?
It's tough. You know, I'm going to, you know, true talk. It is tough. It's a lot. It really is. To juggle everything. You know, everyone knows that I do pick up and drop off every day, even from school, from my daughter. So even being able to slot that in, it's responsibilities that just have to be met. So when they have to be met, you're going to get it done. But being able to have the right balance, taking breaks when you need them, resting when you need them, eating well, sleeping well, those things help to get through it.
I guess everything has to fall in with the schedule and planning. Unfortunately, time is not by our side. This is how far we can go today. So I'm going to ask you for your last word on the program to everyone watching.
Okay.
Yes.
I think if I'm going to have some parting words, it's going to be the fact that you've said it's a very peculiar personality you have today, in the fact that someone who has a professional career but also pursues their profession in art. And the reason I do that is the passion for it, the fact that I feel like everybody has an innate talent and that mustn't go to waste, especially when it's God-given. I'm a self-taught artist. I have no formal training in art. So the fact that I continue to drive and strive to be better in my work in art, even though I have the huge responsibilities that I have, it shows you that it's the talent that drives you and the passion to make sure you keep it alive. So that's what I would say to everybody. Whatever it is that you've been given as a God-given talent, whatever you're passionate about, please pursue it. Please, just hone your skills in it and don't let it go to waste.
Yes, John, to our sponsor, finally. Final words on the program, and yes.
Yes, so I would like to say a very, very big thank you to yourself, Mariam, for hosting me. Thank you, I appreciate it. And also my profound thanks goes out to our sponsor, Prince Yemisi Shilon, for his support in propagating art, supporting artists, making sure that our works, our voices are out there, and people are more and more aware, all of the stakeholders in the art ecosystem and in the art community. Thank you very much.
It's important we emphasize on that part, because if we have a society with more people like Prince Yemisi Shilon, I think art awareness will go a very long way. I'd like to say a big thank you for coming on the program today. It's been an amazing time. Unfortunately, this is how far we can go for today. I'll see you next week, where I bring you another interesting guest on the program World of Art. My name is Miriam Usman. I see you next week.